Right. Good evening, everybody. For the first time, I think in living memory, we don't have any members of the public in person in the gallery, but we may have people watching online. So I will read out the announcement regarding the webcam and everything. And I'd like to inform everybody that this meeting will be recorded and broadcast live on the internet and will be available for repeat viewing on the council's website. You should be aware that the council is a data controller under the Data Protection Act. Data collected during a webcast will be retained in accordance with the council's published policy. The seating in the public gallery will not be filmed. Members of the public are only able to speak if they have registered their intention in accordance with the council procedure rules. As chair, I have the discretion to adjourn the meeting in the event that there is disorderly conduct from either councillors, so you'll all be to blame tonight, or members of the public in accordance with Standing Order 34 and 35. I can also terminate or suspend webcasting of the meeting in accordance with the webcasting protocol. Right. Good evening. Right, which takes us on to the minutes of the last meeting. Is everybody happy?
Ellie is online. Emerson is online.
Oh. Hello, Ellie. I didn't realise you were logging. I thought you were sending apologies, but you've logged in.
Correct, Chair.
Okay, hi. And all the other officers that are on online as well. All right. Is everybody happy with the minutes of the last meeting? Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest? No. Thank you. And we do have a question, but it's not going to be answered tonight. And thank you to Councillor Williams for agreeing to it being asked next month so that we get as much accurate information as possible. So there are no other questions, which takes us on to page 11, potential site visits. And Julie is going to introduce this. Thank you.
It's actually me, Chair.
Oh, sorry, Richard.
That's all right. Can we suggest off that list that an unaccompanied site visit please be made to the Stone Point application? That's 221466. It's mostly for officers to be able to set out the complicated planning history of that site to members and for them to look at it in their own time if they wish. The other one we would recommend from that list is 221324, which is the former Carter's site. For that would be for an accompanied site visit. And just to update some on the reserve list you have there, 221235, that's 138 to 144 Friar Street. We're hoping to be able to bring to December or January committee for you. Thank you.
So we'll be told about the site visit.
You will.
In due course, whether it's to be next month or early January.
Yes.
Right, thank you. Anybody else want to add anything else to the list? Councillor Rowland?
Chair, I would just like to say in the case of the land at Battle Street, Reading, the first one on the list in Abbey Ward, that if members are not aware of the site, that a briefing note be provided for a, an unaccompanied visit, just to make sure that they're aware of the site. There's not really a whole lot to see there, but thank you.
Anything else? No, in which case can we agree all that? The list is getting longer, isn't it? So let's hope we can get out on some of these fairly soon. Then we go on to planning appeals, and I believe Steve Viger is going to introduce this.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, nothing much further to add to the report, Chair, apart from to mention that we have recently received an appeal decision for the Abbey School. That was in respect of application 210714, and we'll be looking to report that to committee in December.
Okay, thank you. Anybody got any questions or comments? Councillor Williams.
Shall I try that again? I think everyone heard me, but it probably wasn't recorded. We've recently received my email an appeal decision on 11 White Knights Road, which seemed to take an age. Will that be reported in next month's report?
Can certainly arrange that through you, Chair, if that's for the committee. Thank you, Chair.
Anything else? No. Right. In which case, can we go on to applications for prior approval?
Thank you, Chair. Officers have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Anybody want to ask any questions or make any comments? No. Can we note that then, please? And then we get on to item 7, which is the street name assignment development of the former Gardeners Arms Public House on page 25. Do officers want to add anything?
No, Chair, nothing to add to the report. The suggestions are printed on page 26 of your report, with the main recommendation being for Gardeners to be the name of the street, or the top on that list for your recommendation. We've discussed whether it should have a tag on the end, you know, close row, or I don't know what it might be, but I think that's for you to discuss now. Thank you.
From the chair, can I propose that we call it the Gardeners? Because that's what everybody knew the pub as. You met at the Gardeners. So and I know a number of us have fond memories of socialising there, and I'm sure local people in Emma Green and Surley Row area also remember it fondly. So I think that's the most appropriate name. Is that seconded? Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? No? So can I see all those in favour of calling the new road the Gardeners? Thank you very much. Which takes us on to the performance and monitoring on page 33. Julie, that's your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This report brings you the figures for the last 2 quarters of this year compared to the same 2 quarters of the previous year. Sorry, could you not hear me? All right, sorry. Yeah, so this report brings you the performance of the planning committee, planning service for the last 2 quarters compared to the previous the similar 2 quarters of the previous year. I suppose the main one to consider is table 1, which gives you the performance over the majors, minors and other types of applications. In terms of speed of determination on the applications, this table shows that while we're performing well on majors and minors, we have had a drop in our performance in terms of the other applications, which includes the householder type of applications. I'll go on to explain in paragraph 4.5 sort of my conclusions on this data, and that I explain there that we have experienced pressure on staff. We've been distributing cases to remaining staff when staff have left the authority, and also our staff have been busy working on the public inquiry at the beginning of this year, and it practically continues that public inquiry. So they've been actually working with higher caseloads than I would normally expect of most officers. I'm pleased to say now that, as I reported, I think last time, that we've got 3 new planning officers have joined us. We've also got a new principal planning officer has joined us. We've got our new structure in place, and I'm confident that our figures for the close of this year will show that we've been able to turn that performance around, and we're back on track to meeting our expectations. And just to continue, there's further information for you on other types of applications we would deal with. Also on, we've managed to provide you with a breakdown of enforcement inquiries pending by ward, and also there's an item at the end at page 39 on building control. I've taken over the management of building control service really at the start of the first quarter, and we've been struggling with getting full-time staff, but we are currently served by 3 agency surveyors, but 3 excellent permanent technical support officers, and well, between them, with the departure of our previous building patrol manager in the summer, we have been able to sort of get ourselves back on track, and we are back up to date with our cases. We don't have a backlog anymore of building control applications or email inquiries, etc. And there's a table there that shows our fee income over the last couple of quarters. And then finally, I'm setting out there at 9.4 that I'm seeking an increase in the fees that we seek from building control applications. We haven't changed these since 2018, and what I'm proposing, the increase would be in line with what other neighbouring authorities charge. So and it's something that I think we need to do. It's not in line with general increases that we've seen in the council or other charges, but I think this is proportionate given that we're being told about the costs involved in development generally, especially for the smaller builders. So that's the reasoning for the 2.6% increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lang and then Councillor Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Julie. I'll be brief. Yeah, as in 4.5 with the overall statement, the applications process with the increased staffing levels. I'm glad that you expect to see some improvement in the fourth quarter. With the enforcement side, moving over to public protection, amalgamating services, I think we've got some extra legal support coming online as well, hopefully, so that will help improve that. Also, obviously, because I was involved with the decision, the building regulation fees with a 2.6% increase hasn't been put up since 2018, taking into consideration obviously the building materials cost inflation and also the cost for small and medium construction firms. I think that's a very sort of like measured approach to it, and I thank you for that. And that's it. We hope to see some improvement. I think we will get some improvement, and yeah, we'll monitor the situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. I guess we're asked to note the report. I think we should note thanks to the planning team who are clearly working under very difficult conditions with a large caseload, and despite that, things look really positive in this report. The one area I'd like to highlight is the enforcement. The enforcement teams do a really important job in Reading. There's nothing more annoying to residents when they see building work going ahead and they know it doesn't have permission. They see building work going ahead and it's breaking all the conditions that we set here, and it's the enforcement team that can come in and try and help with that. We used to receive a regular report as ward councillors of all the enforcement cases in the ward with a really brief description, so we knew where they were, what they were, and how they were ongoing. And this committee used to receive, I want to say, a quarterly report on the key enforcement issues that were coming down the line. Occasionally we were asked to make decisions on those as well as a committee. Now those both stopped during COVID for obvious reasons, but haven't restarted. And the last report we got, which was June, I think, said that reports on enforcement activity by wards were hoped to resume soon. What's the update on all of that activity starting up again?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'll share with you the frustrations with this, but we've been pending a reorganisation of our structure for some time. That has started to move this year, and that's how the planning section has been reorganised. And part of that reorganisation is that the planning enforcement team will move to the public protection team. Their reorganisation has, they've had more complications, I suppose. They had to do a number of things, work with HR on job descriptions, etc., to get that structure in place. That I have actually been told that the authorisation has been given today for us to go out to recruit a new planning enforcement officer, which will be part of that team. So hopefully we will get that advert out as soon as possible, get an extra person in that team doing the planning enforcement, and also we will then be able to, hopefully that team, they know there's this request that we have this more informed information for you, because at the moment, not only are you in the dark, but we are also in the dark as to what this, that we used to rely on that as well. And it's a good reminder of cases for us. So, so yeah, so with apologies, the existing staff have been concentrating on doing the investigations and that sort of thing, rather than doing the analysis of those investigations. if you like. But they are working well, the two members of staff we have now. They are investigating, closing cases, etc. But this one additional person will make a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just to echo what Councillor Williams has said in terms of the praise for our planning department working under the current circumstances and doing a very good job. Just a minor observation. In Table 6, pending enforcement cases by ward, we have listed Emma Green, 25, and then Peppard, 2. Obviously, Peppard no longer exists, so are we looking at a correction to make that 27 for Emma Green? Just a small point. Thank you.
In fact, while we're just on that, it would be helpful if the weekly lists were in alphabetical order as well. That's all a bit muddled, so at some point, if we could get the new structure, the new ward structure, consistent. Thank you. Right, Councillor Lang, you wanted to speak.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's just to say I agree with what the other councillors have raised. You know, we've got concerns. We are acting on it. I'm glad that Julie mentioned that we've got we can now go public on the principal enforcement officer. You know, and we are hopefully looking to improve the legal side of it to back up enforcement. I think that's where a lot of it was getting slowed up, and amalgamating these services into public protection, I think will get teams working together, because there's a lot of overlap between enforcement, certain things, you know, like licensing HMOs and also planning enforcement and such like. I think it'll be a better structure and we will see results. In fact, I'm positive we will see an improvement. It will take time. You know, it's not a quick process, and a new way of working, a new structure. You know, we will need to iron out the wrinkles, so to speak. So, but I'm fairly positive about things. So, anyway, thank you.
Not seeing anybody else. Do we need a decision about the fees, or is that a delegated one to you?
The increase in fees is subject to my consulting with the lead councillor and the finance director, and that I've done that.
Okay.
And, yeah, been
Right.
confirmed.
Okay. So we're asked to note that report. Can we do that, please? Thank you. Right, which takes us on to the one planning application that we have to consider this evening, which is on page 33. No, it's not. I'm still on page 33. 41. Which is the site in West Street for the cycle hub. Is it going to be you, Richard? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, we don't have a visual on the screen. It's on your agenda. The proposal is for a change of use only at 32 West Street, and it's for the provision of a cycle hub in a vacant retail unit beneath the Primark store in the former shop site. Requires an application for a change of use from Class E, which is the new commercial Class 2 sui generis, the unique use involving cycle parking, storage, bike racks, and a cycle loan donation scheme and maintenance. The change of use will encourage alternative modes of transport into central Reading. It would result in no net loss of centre uses. It will enable usage of a vacant shop unit and is considered acceptable and a positive addition to Reading Town Centre. Facilities on offer will be centred around similar provision offered by other cycle hubs in other locations. Proposed vinyl graphics on the shop front are slightly larger than would normally be acceptable. However, the design will provide visual interest. It will show what the use is, and it will overall retain suitable active frontage. Recommendation is to permit the development once the consultation period is ended, subject to a condition for 3-year temporary use, with the vinyls to be located so as to enable the views into the premises. Importantly, they're not proposing any other signage or illumination for this temporary period. So recommendation to grant. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Page.
Chair, thank you. I very much welcome this, and I hope that the whole committee will. for years as a fundamental part of our cycling strategy has been to try and improve secure cycle parking in the town centre. And particularly with the development of electric bikes, there is a real need to offer a facility that can, whilst not totally guarantee, offer much greater security than is currently available. And the problem of bike thefts in Reading remains at historic highs, and along with many university towns, it's a problem that we are plagued with and have been plagued with. That underlay the bid that we made to the DFT for funding for a hub. We've secured funding along with a range of other things, including the excellent training that we're delivering in primary schools, particularly in the borough. The hub will build on the relatively short-lived success of the bicycle kitchen that many of us fondly remember in the bottom of, in the basement rather, of Jackson's Corner. And the Reading Cycle Campaign, to their credit, along with other volunteers, offered a facility there, not for storage, but for advice and repair, for meetings. And we are hoping that this hub will encourage a restoration of that facility. So not only would you be able to bring your bicycle for safe and secure parking, the intention is to offer a repair service, advice, and generally stimulate further safe cycling in the borough. And paragraph 2.2 references additional facilities that will be on offer, but we very much hope to work with the Cycle Campaign and other voluntary organisations to extend that and popularise the facility. That brings me on to one point about, and I'm glad the officers aren't recommending an hours use restriction, but I would very much see the current 7 AM to 7 PM as the sort of the core minimum. And it would be very much an indication of success if we can get those hours extended, particularly in the evenings, not so much earlier. And so my question to officers would be whether or not it might be a safeguard to, I mean, clearly we're not looking for an all-night facility, and that wouldn't be appropriate, but the opening hours proposed are as set out, but I'm just wondering whether there's some sort of informative that we could have that, you know, recognise that use up until about midnight would be acceptable, but beyond that might be. It's just a concern that I have that we address that in some form. The vinyl issue, it's bold, and I'm particularly pleased to see the Reading climate stripes, the stripes invented by Professor Haskins at the university, are also included as a further underlining the environmental benefits from encouraging cycling. The other point I'd just like to put on record is my personal thanks to the Chief Executive of Primark, who responded to an email from me a couple of years ago in respect of considering and delivering a much reduced rental for this premises. Now, you might say, well, it's been empty, but it was being marketed at a much, much higher rental. And Primark have reduced the rental quite considerably. We do have a separate battle on the rates front, which we're not giving up on, but clearly it is appreciated that Primark are allowing us to rent this office for a much reduced rental, and that is appreciated. Hopefully we can see this facility, as I say, popularised, made good use of, and if it can't be located here permanently, then hopefully its success will enable us to secure another premise, other premises in due course. On that basis, Chair, I would commend this application to colleagues.
Thank you. Do you want to just comment on the hours issue and whether we need to add anything to the recommendation?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, the application did come in for suggesting hours would be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Don't think we had a concern from environmental protection on this. I think officers' view was something like this would be, appropriate to a sort of 18-hour economy, the long day sort of thing. You are encouraging active frontages, activity, almost something that was on a bit longer into the evening, so that you would activate the street. But I do agree that possibly within the small hours you might have a level of disturbance there that you weren't expecting. So I'm sure we can fashion some sort of informative that says, be mindful of residents going into the small hours, concerns of Environmental Protection Act apply, that sort of thing. We could certainly put that sort of message on a permission.
Thank you, Chairman. Like Councillor Page, I'm delighted to see this proposal come forward. This is something I had called for in a media article a few months ago. Likewise, I share his concerns about the hours. I'm glad to see that we could be looking to extend. It's not an issue with regard to planning, but my only real concern is we've got 1 year's funding. I'll be looking forward to seeing how we're proposing to make this a longer term proposal. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Let's hope whoever's Transport Secretary this week is listening and will be forthcoming with further funding. Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to clarify that even though the Reading Bicycle Kitchen bought short-lived at Jackson's Corner, it is still very much alive in Welldale Street and still operating repair workshops. If we are going to look at the cycling hub as a place to do repairs, we should definitely choose to involve the Bicycle Kitchen, who are still very much an active part of our local community. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing anybody else. So can I see all those in favour of this application being approved? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. That's the end of the formal meeting, but just to remind you all, officers are going to do a short training session for us now. Now, I did get a request at planning management for a quick 5-minute break to go and get a cup of tea or something. So, but I will start after 5 minutes.